Good morning, everyone. April is National Distracted Driving Awareness Month. Distracted driving deaths are on the rise. Danya Bacchus takes a look at the problem and what officials say can be done to stop it.
This 2019 video highlights the danger of texting behind the wheel. Police say the driver was on the phone when they drifted into a power pole. Luckily, the driver only had minor injuries, but that's not often the case.
Sent up in the air, landed on my head.
9 years ago, Jim Jones was hit by a distracted driver while walking across the street. He had brain damage, severe injuries, and is still dealing with the long-term effects.
Walking around with a cane, I'm not used to that. That was something I had to get used to. But the brain injuries are something because it's short-term memory.
The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says more than 3,500 people were killed in distracted driving crashes in 2021, a 12% increase from 2020. That's an average of 9 people a day.
Too many people are making it a priority to respond to a work email or send a text message or program GPS while they're driving.
Doug Shoup with AAA is encouraging people to use the driving focus feature on their phone. It can be accessed through settings on an iPhone.
These driving focus features will connect to a vehicle's Bluetooth and also restrict incoming calls and texts while the vehicle is in motion.
Jim Jones's family was told he wouldn't survive, but he was determined to recover to walk his daughter down the aisle 4 months after his accident.
What is your message to drivers now?
I wish people would just reflect on what happens to the families of the victim. And the victim themselves, of course.
And he hopes his story prevents someone else from becoming a victim. Danya Bacchus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Of course, it's easy to get distracted while driving, but it can be deadly. One man in London has made it his mission to encourage people to keep their eyes on the road or face the consequences. Ian Lee has that story.
Cycling crusader Mike Van Erp patrols London streets on the lookout for bad drivers.
Drivers have very little regard for cyclists in the UK, so carrying cameras is a natural way to change that.
And his GoPro also records potential perpetrators using their phones while driving.
What kind of reactions have you received?
A few people are apologetic. Some people ignore you, but the majority of people get angry when you catch them out doing something wrong.
No, I was calling out, I was reading your number plate.
I don't care about that. Listen, you can't threaten me. Listen,
Do you get nervous when you confront an angry driver?
Definitely, I definitely get nervous and scared.
When I was following the correct protocols.
Mike turns his videos over to the police.
I think the most I caught once was about 16 in an hour.
What kind of tips you off that someone's a bad driver?
When someone moves off in a queue, or the queue moves off rather, and someone leaves that gap, or it's swerving in the lane because they're not paying attention.
Very naughty using your phone.
But no amount of angry drivers can dismount Mike's efforts. His mission is personal.
My dad was killed by a drink driver when I was 19. I find crossing the road with my kid and the young special needs lad I work with quite scary sometimes, so it's for them.
Do you see yourself as a vigilante?
I don't think I'm a vigilante at all. I'm doing the exact opposite thing of a vigilante.
Why are you playing with your phone?
In the last 5 years, Mike says he's reported about 1,100 drivers, with more than 800 successfully prosecuted.
Do you think it is helping people think about becoming better drivers?
Very much so.
Helping people become better drivers, whether they like it or not. Ian Lee, CBS News, London.
And some safe driving tips include turning your phone off before the journey or pull over if you do need to check messages and make calls. Well, whether it's an outbreak of tornadoes or floods or devastating earthquake, we rely on emergency rescue teams to save lives when disaster strikes. Janet Shamlian takes us to a unique facility in Texas where elite crews are training for the next catastrophe.
It's devastation in every direction. Train derailments, earthquakes, and other simulated emergencies, all within 52 acres. This is Disaster City, where elite rescue teams learn to save lives.
Is there anything else like this?
There's no replication of this kind of thing. There's smaller sites that have little bits of this, but nothing to my knowledge, United States or even the world, has this much disaster on this kind of scale. 85% of
Stephen Bajoun is the training manager for Texas Task Force 1, and this is their training ground. The team, one of 28 search and rescue squads under FEMA.
There are more than a dozen disaster scenarios here, each one based on a real-life catastrophe. This is a flattened parking garage, modeled on the one underneath the World Trade Center.
From 9/11 to Hurricane Katrina and the Surfside building collapse, they've been on the front line of the nation's biggest disasters.
What situation might this occur in?
So this situation would be for building collapse, so the guys come in and build these shores to help make the structure safe.
Kevin Matheson is a rescue specialist.
These scenarios basically train us for any disaster that could happen in the world.
Did we get a measurement off the wall?
The responders execute technical rescues requiring planning and engineering skills.
Just tell us if you can start hurting or if you get hung up on something.
Even using volunteer victims.
Why do the teams need to keep coming back?
It's a perishable skill. The things that we learn here, they're so technical and so specific. If you're not constantly swinging that hammer or using that saw, it perishes and you're not ready to be able to do it again when you need it.
Keep it as straight as you can.
Where training meets tragedy, prepping for the unpredictable. For Eye on America, Janet Shamlian, College Station, Texas.
Well, cleanup continues in Winona after the confirmed tornado there last month. The Red Cross, MEMA, and FEMA volunteers are now helping residents through the disaster and the recovery process. The first step of the process is providing them with some information. Last week at Zion Baptist Church, some people in Montgomery County were able to get direct answers from the ground workers with emergency agencies. The spokesperson for Congressman Benny Thompson says all information is not correct information and it's best to get it from the source.
He wants them to get the facts and not rumors or he say, she say, but from the people who actually run these programs. He wants to make sure that people are getting the care and comfort that they need from the state resources, local, American Red Cross.
And then you can hear what they say and take it and use it the way you need it. I heard what he said about what I need to do. I listened. Some of the things he talked about I've already done.
MEMA and FEMA have set up an information center with representatives at the Montgomery County Coliseum. It's on Recreation Drive there. So tornado survivors in Montgomery County that get SNAP benefits have an approaching deadline. People living in those two counties must submit a SNAP replacement application. The deadline to complete it is April the 24th. You can do this online or by going by the County Department of Human Services office. We will put the link on our website, WCBI.com. This is to replace food that spoiled during the power outages and benefits before the storm. And again, this is only for Montgomery County. For folks in Monroe County, it will be automatically added. If you're not a SNAP recipient in Montgomery or Monroe counties, you should apply for what's called D-SNAP, and that is also on our website. In health news, we know there are many benefits to wearing hearing aids. A new study suggests if you have hearing loss and you're not using the devices, your risk of dementia may be higher. Naomi Ruckham has more on that.
Dementia and hearing loss are common health conditions among older adults. New research in the Lancet Public Health suggests hearing aids may protect against a higher risk of dementia associated with hearing loss. Researchers looked at data from more than 430,000 adults in the UK and followed them for about 12 years on average. People with hearing loss not using hearing aids had a 42% higher risk of dementia of all causes compared to people with normal hearing. Researchers say no increased risk was found in people with hearing loss who used hearing aids. It's estimated that hearing loss may be linked to around 8% of dementia cases worldwide, and experts say tackling hearing impairment could be critical. Signs of hearing loss include trouble understanding what people are saying on the phone, finding it hard to follow conversations when two or more people are talking, asking people to repeat what they are saying, and turning up the TV volume so loud that others complain. Hearing loss is the third most common chronic health condition in older adults. Naomi Ruckham, CBS News, New York.
And last year, hearing aids became available over the counter for people with perceived mild to moderate hearing loss. Coming up, a father's warning. Stay with us. Mid-morning, we'll be right back. All right, we're back, everyone. Online bullies can be bold, but you know that. You may even have warned your children about it. But have you heard about a growing problem called sextortion? More families than you realize are dealing with it right here in Mississippi. Given the sensitive nature of the crime, not everyone is willing to speak up about it. One Starkville family is, though, and hoping that you will listen closely. Here's Courtney Ann Jackson with their story.
Walker Montgomery turned 16 on November 1st. The last day of that month was a normal one for his family. After school, Walker worked out in the family barn while his dad and brother hunted. They had family dinner as usual, and his mom said prayers with he and his younger brother before bed.
Fun topic.
The next part of this story is one his dad, Brian Montgomery, has had to piece together since that day.
Around midnight, Walker received a message through Instagram from somebody he didn't know.
The conversation started off innocent enough. On the other end of the chat, a girl around his age, he thought, even referencing mutual friends. But it eventually took a different turn with a request for a video chat through Instagram.
Sexual encounter occurs, and Walker didn't know it, but they were recording this on their side with another device. So Walker didn't know. He had no idea that he was being recorded.
They told him they'd release it if he didn't pay $1,000.
They immediately went to, we're going to destroy your life. Your life is over. Everybody love is going to disown you. I mean, mountain was built immediately in front of Walker. They were continually saying, we need the money, this will stop if you get us the money. I don't have any money is what Walker's telling them. I live in the country, I live in the middle of nowhere, just leave me alone, please.
Phone records show it's the first time Walker ever interacted with this profile, but over the course of 2 hours, it would be his last.
But then they start sending screenshots where they've got the video in the screenshot and in a message that they're sending it to people that Walker knows in his friend list. They'd never sent any of those messages as far as we know.
They're just making it look like it.
They're making it look like it, right?
He begged them to stop. The last contact it looked like they shared it with, his mom.
And after that responds with, I'm just going to kill myself. And just as heartless as you can imagine, they said, well, go ahead because you're already dead anyway. I went in the safe, he got my handgun and went back upstairs. And at some point during that time, he took his own life.
They found him the next morning. As you might imagine, there were a lot of questions. His dad knew where the answers would probably lie.
The answer's going to be in the phone. It's got to be.
Waiting for those answers, they grieved all through the Christmas season with their faith guiding them. The case was initially handled by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Office.
At the same time, Starkville Police Department understood there were several kids in Starkville that had been victimized for this as well within the last 6-8 months.
And eventually the FBI got involved.
I'm not exactly sure who nailed it down at some point, but it originated from the warrant they sent to Instagram that says, okay, the IP address of this person is here. Literally they know what residence these people are at. We know that it came from Nigeria. We know that the vast majority of these things that are happening, this particular scheme is originating out of Nigeria.
Through his loss, Brian Montgomery is finding a new mission, sharing Walker's story in hopes that other families hear it and make a big change, potentially saving their child's life.
I want to make sure that the pain we've suffered amounts to somebody else's gain. That's the goal.
FBI Jackson Field Office Special Agent in Charge Jamaica Fomby can't talk specifics of any case, but he did want to sit down to share with you that these cases are increasingly common.
The first half of 2022, there was almost 10 times as many incidents reported to us as there were in the same period of 2021, totaling more than 7,000 reported incidents with over 3,000 victims.
They've recently focused on awareness because there are challenges in investigating and prosecuting these criminals.
The majority of the offenders, these bad actors, are overseas. They mostly hail from West Africa as well as Southeast Asia. And these things are happening online, so to be able to track down the IP addresses, to go through the whole judicial process of indictments plus extradition, and then location of the bad actors, it becomes a challenge for us.
What is the advice from a law enforcement perspective? Do you ever pay the money?
Never advise parents or victims to pay the money, because what happens is that once you pay the money, they're going to keep looking at ways to extort you to solicit or illicit situations that you give more money out, and that becomes a challenge. So it doesn't resolve the issue. It just empties your bank account into something that is not prevented from recurring.
Brian Montgomery isn't an official, but he is a dad, and this is what he'd change if he could go back to those early morning hours of December 1st.
What I should have never done is let my son have his phone by himself at night. And if I was speaking to a parent, that's exactly what I would tell them. Listen, that's something you can do today. Your kids are going to buck that. They're going to resist that. Send them to this interview and look at me. Say, look at this dad. Look at this family. This is worth it. Your life is worth it.
Courtney Ann Jackson, WCBI News.
If this happens to your teenager, you heard what the FBI said there in that piece. Don't pay the money. The advice is to instead immediately report it. You can contact the FBI directly or your local law enforcement. Stay with us. We will be right back. All right, welcome back. A business in Michigan is getting a lot of attention from their unique approach to making sandwiches, and their idea granted them funding to take their restaurant to the next level. Chris Walker has their story.
It's a crunchy spin on Deli Delights.
This is where we make the sandwiches.
What's the Deal's signature sandwiches are described in the company's name. Stuffed dill pickles with meat and toppings piled high and served chilled.
So that's how our sandwiches are prepared. We don't use bread.
Kenny and Leona Milton are the latest winners of Motor City Match. The couple was awarded a $25,000 grant to expand their business.
The funding helped it 100% because I had nothing. Okay, so like I said, I started up at the pop-up shops. I started saving, but it was never enough.
Leona says she wanted to provide fresh alternatives with a unique twist.
I have a lot of people that's diabetics. They come to me and thank me because they can't have bread. I have a lot of keto dieters, a lot of vegans that come with me.
Aside from pickles, customers can select from a variety of vegetables to create a healthier way to enjoy a sandwich.
On the menu, we have stuffed pickle sandwiches. We have them stuffed with corned beef and turkey. We have some with all meats. We have pickle sandwiches, cucumber sandwiches, tomato sandwiches. We have bell pepper sandwiches. We are offering a healthier, affordable way of eating in the city of Detroit. Basically, it was a community effort to get these delicious, unique pickle sandwiches to the neighborhood.
Reporting in Detroit, Chris Walker, CBS News, Detroit.
Unique indeed. Okay, a recipe a little closer to home when we come back. Chefs in training at MUW. That's next on Good Morning. All right, we're back. This is one of our favorite annual segments. For the next few days, we will share recipes and dishes from students at the MUW Culinary Institute. These students are under the instruction of Chef Mary Helen Hawkins. Today's recipe is for your sweet tooth.
Hey y'all, my name is Brittany Jackson, and today I'm going to be showing y'all how I make strawberry cheesecake cookies. And also I am from Mississippi University for Women in the Culinary Institute, and I also have a baking business called Bake by B LLC. So today I'm going to start with the cheesecake mixture that goes inside of the cookies. So I have right here just 1 8-ounce block of cream cheese. I'm going to start out with 1/4 cup of sugar. Just going to pour that in, and then I also have 1/4 teaspoon of vanilla bean paste that we're going to use in it as well. So I'm just going to do that right there. Then I'm going to give it a good mix. You just want to incorporate until all of your sugar is fully incorporated into the cream cheese mixture. And once you're done, you're going to put it in a refrigerator to let it chill. And this is what the outcome of the product should look like right here. So now I'm just going to get my strawberry cookie mix. I'm going to get my cookie scoop. I use the medium-sized scoop for my cookies. I'm just going to scoop it out like this. Put it in my hand so that way that I can flatten it out some. Just like this. Then I'm going to take a smaller scoop for my cheesecake mix, and I'm going to put it into the middle of it like this. Then once I get everything on there, I'm going to fold it, kind of pinch those corners of the cookies a little bit. Then I'm going to roll it into a ball. And then I'm gonna put it right back on my baking sheet. Then I'm gonna do the same thing for my next cookies. Flatten your cookie out first before you put it on there. And do the same thing. And I'm gonna do one more cookie to put on there. Just flatten it out. Cheesecake mixture. Put it in the middle. Fold it and form it into a ball. Just like so. And then we're going to put it in the oven for 350 degrees for 15 minutes. And I already have some cookies made, so I'm going to take it out of my other oven. And this should be the outcome of your cookies. And you make sure to garnish it with a little bit of sugar.
Looks pretty yummy. We'll be right back to wrap things up. All right, be sure you stay connected with us. We'll see you back here next time. Have a great day.